Hello and welcome back to another episode of Measurement in a Minute. I'm your host, 𝗦𝗧𝗔𝗬𝗧 with Lakeside Process Controls. And in today's episode, we're continuing our discussion around Rosemounts 3051 pressure transmitters. The last episode, we talked about how gauge pressure transmitters work. Today, we're going to talk about how absolute pressure transmitters work. And in truth, they operate very similarly, except for one major difference. So if we break down our pressure transmitter and we had an X-ray view, you'd see that top left image beside me. And so what we actually have are two different diaphragms. We have what's called an isolating diaphragm, which is just made out of a metal that's compatible with the process. And then that metal is actually flexible and pressure is applied to it. Behind that, you actually have what is called a fill fluid, which is typically a silicone-based liquid that when pressure is applied to the diaphragm, it is in turn applied to that fill fluid and then is applied to the sensor itself. And that's going to be the diaphragm that has the piezo resistors on it, and then behind it is where you'll have that Wheatstone bridge converting the signal from changes in resistance to voltage to 4 to 20 milliamp. Now the other piece of this that we didn't talk about was this vent. Okay, so there is actually a gauge pressure vent, and you can see it right above me here, kind of briefly at the base of the pressure transmitter if you kind of tipped it on its side. This allows atmospheric pressure to travel into the opposite side of that sensor. So on the bottom side of that sensor you have the process, and then on the top side you have the atmosphere. So in a gauge pressure transmitter, that vent is open to the atmosphere. And in essence, this is essentially a form of a differential pressure transmitter, because now if you have 100 psi applied to the bottom end and you have 14.7 applied to the top end, well, you're going to be left with the resulting in a gauge pressure measurement. The only difference with absolute is we plug that vent. So instead of exposing that top side of that sensor to the atmospheric conditions, that is plugged, and that's no longer the case. So you now have the exact pressure, not relative to the atmosphere, but instead relative to a vacuum. And that's how an absolute pressure transmitter works. Should you have any questions about Rosemounts 3051 or any other of our products, please reach out using the QR code on screen. Thanks everybody. Have a great day.